Welcome to the Hoxworth Unfiltered Podcast, brought to you by the University of Cincinnati. I'm Ashley Smith with Hoxworth Blood Center, and today we're kicking off a brand new segment. We're calling it Ashley Asks, and our very special guest from Network for Hope is Barry Massa. Barry, thank you so much
Ashley.
for joining us today.
I'm honored.
Yeah, this is going to be a really fun conversation with Network for Hope. Now, in case you didn't know, a little bit of background, Network for Hope is an organization, you can correct me if I'm wrong, it's an organization based out of Cincinnati. We just kind of talked about that. We're going to talk a little bit more about where it's based out of, where they kind of serve, but you do serve Indiana, Kentucky, Ohio, West Virginia, as you mentioned, and you're the 16th largest organ procurement organization in the U.S., so that's a big deal, I feel like.
That's right.
We work very closely with them at Hoxworth. A lot of people don't know this. I didn't know this until I started working at Hoxworth, but we help facilitate any organ transplant at the local Cincinnati hospital, so this is really a partnership that kind of has to work.
Long-standing.
Yes, long-standing partnership, and it's really fascinating. We have a wall of life at Hoxworth to count how many organ donations we've done. I should have looked at that today. I was up there. I don't know. I know last time I checked, it was over 200 already. I'm sure it's closer to 300 or 400 because last year we did 642 in the Cincinnati area. So that's a little bit of intro about what Network for Hope is, but we're going to ask Barry to kind of explain maybe a little bit more in depth about what I said. So to you, what is Network for Hope? Tell us a little bit more about the organization.
Yeah. So thanks again for having me. I appreciate it. But Network for Hope was formed in October of 2024 when Life Center Organ Donor Network, which is the organ procurement organization that was based in Cincinnati, that handled 8 counties in Southwest Ohio, 2 in Indiana, and 6 in Northern Kentucky, merged with our colleagues that are based in Louisville called Kentucky Organ Donor Affiliates, or CODA. And they did the rest of the state of Kentucky, other than the 6 counties that we had, as well as counties across the river from Louisville in Indiana, and then counties in West Virginia. So we merged effective October 1st, and when we merged, we changed our name to Network for Hope.
We see it driving down 71.
We finally got our name changed. It said Life Center for a year after the merger, or about 6 months after the merger. So we were really excited to get that back up there. But a little funny story, we put that Life Center name up there on that building, even though we were merging, because I worked for about a year and a half to get that sign up and get it approved by the city. I'm like, yes, we are getting that sign up, even though I know we're going to change our name.
Yeah, so, I don't blame you. Make use of it, right?
Yeah.
So we also want to mention Hoxworth has a golf outing, our 11th annual golf outing coming up in September. Network for Hope is the presenting sponsor. So this is one of our biggest fundraisers throughout the year. So we thank you for that partnership. And you've been at the golf tournament in the past. So.
Yeah, I'm not the greatest golfer, but I do play in scramble. So, but we have a couple foursomes always, and one is like the A team, and one is kind of like the C or D team, and that's usually my team. So
you have fun. You have more fun because you're out there longer. You're taking more strokes.
That's right. For the more strokes for the money. That's right.
Yeah, I love that. Okay, so how does somebody go about signing up to be an organ donor? And I think there's some misconceptions with organ donation. I don't know if you guys do live and cadaver. So tell me about, maybe some of those misconceptions and what people need to know.
Yeah, well, first of all, how you register, and even though you can do it online, you could go to networkforhope.org or registerme.org. You could also now do it on your Epic, on your MyChart in Epic. There's actually, this started just a few months ago, but within every Epic system in the MyChart, there's a place to sign up, just like there is in Facebook.
Okay.
However, 95% of the people still do it when they go to the BMVs. Yep. So that is what people kind of equate to registering is when they go to the BMV. But we're seeing a little bit of decline just because the license went from every 4 years to every 8. And that people in the age range of 15 and a half, when you can get your temps, to 18 are actually, that was one of our strongest registered classes, if you will.
Wow.
And because young adults are getting their license later, we're seeing a decline in people getting their license. So it's actually leading to fewer registrations in that age grade. But no, that's how you register.
Okay.
It's a pretty simple process, and we actually have, when we go out to different events, we actually have iPads that we could scan your license, and there's no more signing or giving somebody your social security number and all that kind of stuff. You could literally hit the back of your license and register. So it's really a quick process.
Technology is amazing.
It's great.
And so live, cadaver, what kind of organ donation do you deal in?
We primarily do with deceased donation. We do support living donation just because with our outreach efforts, we are very supportive of living donation because for kidney donation in the United States, the average to wait is about 4 years. So you could get your transplant quicker if you have a live donor, a living donor. But it also enables somebody on the wait list, that's one person off the wait list, so when there is a deceased donor, then somebody else could get that second chance. So that's why we support it. We also help in the process if it's one of those kidney exchanges.
Yes.
So we help in that process a little bit, just with the packing of the organ, of the kidney. But otherwise, our primary focus is deceased donation. So all of our outreach and all the work that we do with donor families is really with deceased donation.
Those exchanges are fascinating. And when they have it's like a whole thing that's
the whole
connected,
chain.
Chain.
Yes.
And I saw it on Grey's Anatomy once, and I know it's not 100% accurate, but it got me fascinated. And then I did a story at the Christ Hospital about a real one that happened in real life. And it was California, Utah, Cincinnati. It was incredible. And if one of those links comes out, the whole thing's foiled, right? And so it's pretty fascinating.
We actually had a family member here in, I think they live in Kentucky, but the mother, their daughter needed a kidney transplant. The mother decided to be a living donor and give it to whoever was first on the list. That was a match. But that then moved her daughter up on the list. So then her daughter received a deceased donation because her mother became a living donor.
Wow.
So it was really a cool story, but, very altruistic on her part.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I've heard, from the living donors, they recover relatively quickly. I think some people, and I'm sure it's always different depending upon the person, but there's probably some misconceptions about that. They can bounce back. I knew somebody who did it. She's a runner. I think 6 weeks later, she was out running, 6 weeks or less. And back to pretty much normal, which is fascinating.
The recovery process for the person giving as well as the person receiving is actually pretty quick.
Yeah.
And when you think about it, there was a professional basketball player that received a heart transplant. He's 6'11". But he was up and out of the hospital in, pretty short time period.
Yeah. It's fascinating.
Which is just amazing.
Yeah, the medical industry is just doing so many cool things that every day, just advancing something. Okay. Let's stop the fear around organ donation. We kind of already have been talking about this, but I just mentioned it as well, on TV and the movies, and there's a lot of medical shows. Even still, The Pit is kind of new. I think they've only done one season so far. A lot of people see those things on TV, and there's a misconception about, that they're going to look to see if you're an organ donor, and then they're going to treat you differently in that hospital. What do you want to say about that? Do doctors change the way they're going to treat a patient based on their organ donation status? That
is by far the biggest myth relative to organ donation, by far.
Yeah.
And, every doctor, first of all, when you're in that situation, they don't even know if you're registered.
Right.
Right. So, or if you're not registered.
Right.
They're there to treat you and to get you better. Right? Whatever the circumstances are, they're not looking to see if you have that on your license. So that is a total falsehood in the realm of organ donation. I can't emphasize enough that when you go to the emergency room, the last thing that is even on their mind is if you're registered. They're worried about treating you and getting you back to where you were, if at all possible.
Right.
It's only after all measures to treat whatever you came in for are exhausted that they'll even start to contemplate about organ donation. So it's by far the biggest misconception. And you talked about like Grey's Anatomy and the pit and that kind of thing. I always say the only thing factual on TV is the organs actually do go in a cooler. That is actually true.
Got that right.
That is true. Those igloo coolers do, yes, they go in there. But other than that, if all the processes or procedures you see on Grey's Anatomy about organ donation, 95% of it is incorrect.
Yeah. You often see those yard signs that say Jim needs a kidney or usually it's a kidney, but I guess maybe it's a liver or something. And people may sign up then, maybe they missed doing it at the BMV. And so now they're going back. So I do think that those signs work, even if it's just to get them on the registry. I mean, have you guys found that?
Yeah, anything that raises awareness about organ donation is a good thing.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I was well aware of organ donation. I had a friend whose daughter needed a heart and lung transplant pretty much at birth. But I had no idea how the process worked or that even an organization like Life Center at the time existed. There's not many people that know that organ procurement organizations exist unless they're either in the healthcare field or they have a situation about donation.
Yeah.
So any time that we could get the word out about the importance of registering, and like you said, even if it's Jim needs a kidney and it's on a billboard someplace or a yard sign or something, that's all good stuff. Because we want people to be informed when they make that decision, but also we want people to remember, okay, I registered, and tell your family about it.
Yeah.
And that's the most important thing is you could be registered and obviously it will be on your license if you do it that way. But most importantly is to let your family know your decision because, if you're really in like a bad situation that you can't speak for yourself,
right? That
is your family already knows what you want to do.
Yeah.
And that's just eases their mind.
Yeah, that's a great point. What goes into matching people? Sometimes people think, well, their parents are going to be a match. They have to be. It's their genes or it's just the blood type. What does it take to match those two people?
Yeah, there's a handful of things. And, first and foremost, it has to be the right blood type, which may not be the case even with your family, right? But it's size, it's age, because you don't want to necessarily put a organ from a 70-year-old into a child, right? Or, there may be people that are small in nature or in physical nature that they can't have a heart that is from a 6'5" person, so there's a lot that goes into it that you have to get. It's more art than science, and there's a lot of factors that go into it, but that's how we get to the wait list, and then we pare it down to match the right recipient.
You guys do more than just organs, though. If people have kidney disease, do you work with them as well?
Not so much on that end, but what we do besides organs is tissue and eye donation.
Yeah.
So we help facilitate that. So we are the ones who speak to the families about the possibility for eye donation. And but once they say yes for eye donation, both Kentucky and Cincinnati have different organizations in our area that facilitate that process. Once we get once a family agrees to being an eye donor on behalf of their loved one. But we also do tissue, and tissue includes bones, skin, tendons, all those kind of things that are used for orthopedic surgeries, some dental surgeries, spinal graft surgery. So there's a lot of things that go into burn victims with skin donation. There's just a lot of things that go into it. So even though you can't maybe not be a organ donor, there's a lot. For instance, we as Network for Hope did about 380 something, 84 I think it was, organ donors in 2024. But we did over 1,100 tissue donors.
Wow.
And we did close to 2,000 eye donors. So the potential to be a donor is vast, but it may just not be an organ donor, which is what most people think about when they think about donation.
Anything else that you think, the listeners or viewers should know about Network for Hope?
No, I think, Network for Hope, as you said, is the 16th largest by population size. But if you look at the number of organ donors that we did in 2024, we are actually the 11th largest.
Wow.
So, which is kind of neat because Life Center was the 5th smallest by population size because we had a very small geographic territory.
Yeah.
And CODA, Kentucky Organ Donor Affiliates, was 31st, but combined we're a population of a little bit less than 7 million. So it really pushed us up there. So it really gives us the resources to do more things, more outreach to our community, as well as more support for families post-donation. So we're really excited about the opportunity that we have as a bigger entity. And, we are a very well-performing organization. But I think the real reason about this merger is to save more lives, and that's what we're going to do together.
Yeah. All right, and also tell everybody why they should come to the golf outing.
Heck yes, it's a great time, really it is, and it's for a great cause, obviously, with Hoxworth. Yeah. One of the reasons that we are one of the primary sponsor is we've had a long-standing history with Hoxworth, but not only as partners in donation and the work that we do as testing for organ donors, but going back to Dr. Sacker, then Dr. Kinselis, and now Dr. Alquist all served on Life Center's board, and Dr. Braley serves on our medical advisory board. So Hoxworth has always been well represented within Life Center and Network for Hope, and we very much value that partnership because it really truly is a partnership.
Love that. Well, thank you so much, Barry, for being here today.
Appreciate it.
That's it for today's episode of Hoxworth Unfiltered. Thanks for tuning in. And remember, there's nothing more powerful than sharing life through donation, whether it's organ donation or blood donation. And if you learned something new today, share this episode with a friend, leave us a review, or hit that follow button so you never miss an update. And by the way, we are going to have a testimonial from somebody who needs a kidney coming up on part 2 of this. So stay tuned for that as well. You're going to meet Danielle. She works at Hoxworth, but she also is in need of a kidney, so you'll get that kind of more personal story that Barry shared. A couple of stories that as well. Of course, leaving out names and that kind of stuff. But we're gonna get into details with Danielle, so make sure you stay tuned for that. And the next time that you renew your license, make sure you check that box to be a donor, and you just might save someone's life. Until next time, stay curious, save lives, and keep it unfiltered.